how we are going to distribute, or you can say how we are going to store those SKUs in our store or in our warehouse. So that is the big question. Like I'm giving you the local grocery store example. So in a local grocery store, for example, we have 20,000 SKUs. Some are dry, some are frozen, some are perishables. Okay, so based on the analysis, so the dry goods are basically 8,000 SKUs. Okay, and we have calculated the number of sold per SKU is basically that this is the average value, this is the median value, this is the standard deviation. Now the question is how we are going to distribute, whether we are going to use the uniform approach, which means we are going to say that every SKU we are going to store in our you can say store or the warehouse 144 unit, or whether we are going to use the normal distribution or any other probability distribution. Okay, so like as I'm giving the example of the uniform, the simplest one, so it is basically look like this one. So which mean every particular SKU the quantity level of that SKU is going to be the same level, that is this upper level. Okay, so in a uniform, that is basically we are going to talk about that we are going to calculate the average demand as well as the variation. So based on that we are going to decide that, so for the particular SKU how much quantity we are going to store. But the better approach is that we have different classification approaches, and one of the classification approach in order to store the SKUs in our warehouse or in a store is called as ABC classification. And this ABC classification is basically mainly considering you can say the inventory value of particular product. So which means we are talking about that that we are mainly considering the based on the dollar value, based on the monetary value, we are going to classify our product. Uh, okay, not other factors. So ABC classification mainly considering on the dollar value, but you can also develop ABC classification based on the usage level of the particular product. Okay, but mainly it is going to be applied on the monetary value, or you can say the dollar value of your particular product. So what's the meaning of ABC? So basically what we are going to do is so no matter how many SKUs we have, we are going to categorize into the three forms. Either the particular product is a type or a B type or a C type. Okay, so normally the A type classification contain it's a small percentage, but in terms of the dollar value, they have the most important items. Okay, so the second number is the B and the third number is the C. Okay, so these are basically the classification. So class A is important products but few, but it contain the high dollar value it having, and it needs the accurate control. Okay, because they having the high dollar value, if there is a wastages or there is a spoilage on those products, then we are going to lose the high value. Okay, high amount. So that's why we are saying we need the high accurate control on those particular products. So if we are talking about in terms of the frequency of those items or the number of values of those items, that is 20% of your product. Okay, sometimes people are saying that it is 15 to 20, but 20% of the products are normally considered as a type. Okay, so that means if we are talking about in terms of dollar value, so that is going to be almost 80%. Okay, 70 to 80% if we are classifying with respect to the dollar value. Similarly, class B, these are having the middle share or required the moderate control. Okay, and 30% of the values are going to be classified as B. Okay, and the dollar value they have, that is between 15 to 25, and the remaining are the C type. Okay, so this basically ABC classification is mainly based on the Pareto technique, which is also known as 80-20 rules. Okay, but over here, so the 80-20 mean is we are going to trying to identify those 20% items which having the major dollar value in our warehouse. Okay, and the remaining 80% having the rest of the dollar value. Okay, so but so remember that the main idea is that we are going to classify into the three categories. Okay, so as over here you can see that the 20% of the item in the inventory system count 80% of the dollar value sale. That is basically the 20% of those items. But right now we are going to classify based on the ABC, which is based on the Pareto theory. Okay, let's take example. Let's say we have this 16 items at a store. Okay, so these are the 16 items. So we have given the every SKU's name. So they have given us the unit price of those SKUs. Okay, how we are measuring the unit. Okay, as well as the annual demand we have, right? So the first step in order to develop the ABC classification is we are going to find out the annual usage value. So how we can calculate the annual usage value? That is basically we are going to calculate the dollar value of every particular product on an annual basis. So we know the annual demand, we have a unit price. Simply what we are going to do is unit price multiply by the annual demand, we will get the annual usage of that particular item. Similarly, we have the unit price, we have the annual demand, multiply that one, we will get the annual usage value. And same is the for the rest of them. Okay, so once we have get the annual usage value, now based on the annual usage value, we are going to rank those products. Okay, how we are going to do that? We are going to rank them in a descending order, which means so higher the annual usage value, so that particular product is going to be the first. So like this is going to be ranked as first, so this is going to be ranked as second, this is going to be ranked as third, and so on. So we have done this one. So these are the actual item codes, and after the ranking based on the dollar value, so we have written down this one. Okay, so as we can see that the corn flour having the highest annual dollar value. Okay, so that it required more critical control. So we will make sure that there will be no spoilage or the wastages in the corn flour. Okay, now the next thing is in order to develop the ABC classification is we are going to calculate the proportion of the usage value, or you can say the percentage of the usage value. So how you can do that? That is this value divided by sum of this all. Okay, so which means 750,000 divided by sum of this multiply by 100, we will get this one. Similarly, this value divided by the sum of this multiply by 100, we will get this one. This value divided by sum of these all values and multiply by 100, we will get this one, and so on. Okay, the next thing is we are going to calculate the cumulative percentage or the cumulative proportion. So how you can do that? This value is going to be written as it is. So this one plus the next percentage value is going to be this one. Then this one plus this one is going to be get the next cumulative percent. So 80% plus the next percentage value is going to be get the next cumulative percentage value. And if we go continue, so obviously the last value is always equal to the 100%. Now, based on the rule which we have discussed earlier, that A type is going to be having the annual usage value is 80%. So what we are going to do is that we will see this is 5470, this is 80. Okay, so that's why we are classifying the first three item as A type. Okay, so these are the A type, which is basically the top three item, which is basically the 20% of the item. Okay, or you can say they have the contribution of the 80% of the inventory annual usage. Okay, now onward. So what was the rule is that is 15 to 25% of the value is going to be B. Okay, so what we are going to use is we are basically applying 15%, but it's up to you whether you want to apply 15% or a 20% or 25. But right now I'm considering as a 15%. So after this 80%, so up to what we are going up to 95. So it's basically approximately over here. Okay, so these are basically considered as a B type product, and the rest of them are going to be C type. Okay, So this is how we are going to classify. So similarly, I have basically also plot this diagram where on x-axis we have the item names, on y-axis we have the percentage of the dollar usage value. Okay, so that is basically this percentage of the dollar usage value. Okay, whereas this line is basically indicating the cumulative percentage value. Okay, so against every that one we have the cumulative percent, we can draw this one. So either you can visualize this one, or either you can simply use this tabular approach in order to classify those products. Okay, so you can also practice this particular question. So I do have also the solution of this one. Okay, now, if you do not want to apply the ABC classification, there is another way to classify the storage of every SKUs in your warehouse or in a store, which is called as VED analysis, VED classification. So VED stands for vital, essential, and desirable. Okay. The main advantage of this vital, essential, and desirable is that, as we have seen in the ABC classification, we mainly basically classifying the products based on their dollar value, based on their monetary value. But in VED classification, we can consider the critical factors or the risk factors which are linked to that particular product. Okay, maybe some product having the procurement lead time factor is the critical one. So obviously, if the particular item has having the shorter lead time, then it would be considered as a less critical item. Okay, if it has a longer lead time, then it would be considered as a more critical one. Okay, similarly, in terms of the supplier, if the we have the two types of, let's say, supplier, one is a local supplier and another one is an international supplier. Obviously, if the supplier is a local one, then the uncertainty of the supply is less, then it is going to be considered as a less critical supplier. If the supplier is the international, then it may be considered as a more critical, because there is a high uncertainty, okay, that it may deliver the late product. Okay, so this is just the discussion perspective that we can consider different risk factors. Similarly, how customize this particular product, whether it's a standardized product or a customized product. If the product is customized, then it is considered as more critical, but if it is standardized product, then it would be considered as a less critical. Okay, then unavailability, or you can say the availability of the product. Okay, so it may be that particular product is not available on time due to the loss of production, that may create the loss of revenue. Okay, if there is a high chances of unavailability of the particular product, that then it is would be the more critical one. So what we are going to do as inventory manager or as a supply chain manager, so we are going to identify first of all the risk factor. As I have given the four factor example, there may be having five, six, seven, or eight different factors. So against every factor, first of all, we are going to write down the name of those factors, and then we are going to basically rank those factors under whether this factor is a, when we are going to say that this is a high risk, when we are going to say it's a medium risk, when we are going to say it's a low risk. And this is a point system we can use if we are saying that it's a high risk, so then we are going to assign 3 point. If it is a medium, then 2. If low is 1. Like we have given the standard. So if a particular product having the lead time, okay, every product having a procurement lead time, so for that particular product which having the more than 5 weeks of lead time would be considered as a high risk factor. Okay, that is going to be, we are going to risk as a high, and we are going to assign 3. But if the lead time is between 1 to 5 weeks, then it would be considered as a medium risk. Okay, for that particular product with respect to the lead time. Similarly, if the lead time for the particular SKU is less than 1 week, then it would be considered as a low risk, okay, for that particular item. Similarly, in terms of supplier location, if the particular supplier is international, we are going to say it's a high risk. It's a national, okay, which means right now if I am in Pakistan and my company is in Lahore, okay, and the supplier is from Karachi, then it would be considered as national. But if the supplier is from the Lahore, then it would be considered as local. Okay. Similarly, in terms of customization, if there is a high degree of customization, we are going to rank high. If it is medium, minor. If it is standardized product, okay, then it would be highly standardized and low. Okay, same as regarding the availability, unavailability perspective. Okay, and these are basically the standard. They are saying that if the particular item or SKU having 11 or more than 11 score, then that particular item can be categorized as vital. Okay, if the particular item having the score between 7 to 10, then it would be considered as a essential. Okay, category. Okay, if the score is between 4 to 6, then it would be considered as a desirable, or even less than 4, you can say that it is a desirable, right? So let's take example. So suppose we have these four items, okay, and we have written down their procurement lead time. So for vegetable oil, we have the procurement lead time is 3 days. For the yeast, we have 2 weeks. For the egg, we have 1 day. Similarly, the vegetable oil, we are basically having the local supplier. Okay, the degree of customization is none. Okay, so that means it's a highly standardized product. Okay, and then we are saying unavailability production need to be stopped until the oil is made available. Okay, so that's what we are basically categorizing in terms of the risk. Same is the case for the yeast, egg, and corn. Okay, so now we have written down those items, and then we have written down those risk factors. Okay, as we can see that this particular item having the lead time, and we have already developed the standard. If it is less than 1 week, then it would be ranked as a low risk. So that's why we are writing down low one. Okay, so the supplier is the local. So we have already assigned, if the supplier is local, we are going to assign one. Okay, so that's why we are assigning over here is the one. So if the product is highly standardized, it is going to be one. Same is the case if highly loss, as we have seen that production may be losses, then it would be considered as basically the three. Okay, that is basically high losses. So this is not the medium but the high. Okay. So now what we are going to do is we are going to calculate the total score of the vegetable oil, which is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3. This is 6. Okay. Similarly, for the yeast, we have calculated the score. Similarly, we have calculated the egg. Okay. And we do have the ranking score criteria, which is if the particular product having the score 11 or above, then it would be considered as vital. Between 7 to 10 is essential. Between 4 to 6 is desirable. So this is between 4 to 6, it's desirable. Between 7 to 10, essential. 4 to 6, desirable. 7 to 10, essential. So this is how we can classify particular product with respect to VED analysis. Now it's up to you that in order to store the SKUs in your warehouse or in the store, whether you can apply ABC classification, which is purely based on the monetary value, or whether you can use VD analysis in which you can consider the multiple factors, or the best approach is you can use the combination of these one. Okay, in which we can classify not only the three level, we can classify our SKU into the 9 groups. How you can do that? First apply the ABC classification, then apply the VED analysis, and then take those products which are A type as well as the vital, if they are, find out those particular products. Similarly, if the product is B and having the vital, that is another type. So now we can classify our product into the 9 groups or the 9 clusters we are basically developing. So it's up to you whether you want to apply ABC classification or the VED analysis or the combination. Even we do have other methods as well, such as we do have XYZ classification, which is basically considering the demand variation perspective classification of the SKUs. Okay, so you can use one or more than one classification approaches. And the advantage of doing this distribution or the classification of the SKUs is we would be able to manage the warehouse or the store more effectively. Okay, so as you can see in this particular picture, this is before ABC or before VED or before any other classification approach. So this is really hard to pick the particular product. So we need to search the product. Okay, but this is after ABC or after VED classification. We can easily see that the red colors are basically A type of product. Okay, and the green color are the C, yellow are the B type of product. Okay, so so this would be help us in order to manage the warehouse more properly. So in order to manage the warehouse operations effectively, so first conduct the ABC classification analysis or the VED analysis or the combination. Then select the correct picking method. Okay, either there would be the picker to order approach you want to use, whether you want to use the cluster picking approach, okay, whether you can pick the other methods. So what's the picker to order approach is, in which basically picker is responsible for collecting all items related to an order. Okay, so which means based on the order, picker is going to go and pick the all the items related to that basically order. And this approach of picking the SKUs from the warehouse or the from the store is effective if basically the order size is small. Okay, but if the order size is large, then it may be not a good approach. The other approach is basically the cluster approach. So over here, picker is allowed to collect multiple orders at the same time. So which means we can pick multiple orders. As you can see, this is having the customer one's picker. This is a customer two mean order two. This is order three's products. Okay, and then picker collect the individual item order, and items are separated into the individual bins. So this is bin 1, bin 2, bin 3, and then partition to reduce or eliminate order errors. Okay, however it wouldn't be able to mix the orders. Okay, so order 1 is going to be stored in this particular bin, order 2, order 3, and so on. Okay, so this means in a cluster picking, the picker can pick the multiple orders at the same time. So there is other picking methods as well. And in the end, basically after picking, we are basically scan that particular, okay, as we have, as I mentioned earlier, we can scan that particular SKU and we would be able to see how many sales of occurring of that against that SKUs and what is the inventory level of that SKUs. I hope you got the idea. So thank you so much. See you in the next video.